Hello and welcome to today's lesson in which we are going to talk about American superfast speech. Now, before we continue, I'd like to clarify what I mean when I say superfast speech. What we're going to discuss in today's lesson mostly revolves around connected speech. We're going to talk about assimilation, reductions, and this really allows people to move quickly through different words and phrases. Now, that does not mean that everybody is going to speak super fast. You can still use connected speech and speak at a slower pace. That's perfectly fine. But understanding these different concepts, I think, will give you an understanding of why people speak the way they do, which is going to help your listening comprehension if you do hear someone in a TV show or movie really just fly right through the sentence. I think you'll be able to get a better idea as to what they're talking about. So we're just going to look at some, I think, pretty basic, simple sentences, and we're going to explore this dialogue right here. So just to start out, I am just going to read it. I'm going to say it out loud. I just want you to listen, and then we're going to go through these sentences one at a time. And as we go through them, I want you to practice your speaking skills, and I want you to say these sentences out loud and practice with me. So just to listen to the sentences, listen to this dialogue, I would say it like this. What do you want to do tonight? I'm going to get a bite to eat. Do you want to go? Sure. Could you wait till I finish work? It's getting late. I don't want to wait around all night. So just listening to me say this dialogue out loud, you can see the words, and I imagine that you're able to then listen to it and think, okay, yes, I understand that. Even if I didn't have the dialogue, maybe I could pick out most of those words. But let's have a look at what's going on with each of these sentences. So let's start at the beginning, and then we're going to come back to this at the end because I want to practice with you. And again, I want you to say this out loud. So I've included pictures from the US because I am from the United States. So much of what we're going to talk about today, it does revolve somewhat around the American accent, and I'll try to point some of that out as I go through the lesson. But let's just begin with that first question. Instead of saying, like, what do you want to do tonight, and you hear each of those individual words, the way I was pronouncing it, I was just saying, what do you want to do tonight? What do you want to do tonight? Okay, so let's look at what's going on, and I'm going to break it down one at a time. The first thing I want to talk about are those first two words, what do. So you have some overlapping sounds with the T and the D because what, you have that stop T. Your tongue is coming up to the front part of your mouth, to the roof of your mouth, and you're releasing right into the D sound in do. What do. Now, when you say this quickly, because the D sound is pronounced the same way, your tongue's going to come up to the roof of your mouth and then you release. It really is like that T then goes away, like it elides. An elision is when sounds are dropped. And often this happens with the T or the D. They elide in certain words and phrases, and they just get dropped and you don't hear them. So instead of what do, whata, whata. You can hear it's like your tongue's just flapping against the roof of your mouth when you're saying that d, whata. Now, I'm saying do as a weaker sound. And this is a form of a reduction because there are certain words that I would say have two different pronunciations. And I would also say that this is something that's more common in with American English. So when you take some of these vowel sounds and you don't stress them and it's a weaker sound, often that vowel turns into a schwa sound, which is an unstressed sound, unstressed vowel sound. So in that case, instead of do, it may sound more like duh. The same with you. You hear people say you all the time, which is more stressed. When it's weaker, when it's unstressed, it may sound more like ya. And that does not mean, I think there's a little misspelling there. Instead of ja, it should say ya. That does not mean that people are always just going to say one or the other. There is a spectrum between you and ya. But basically, that first those first three words, it's going to sound like what do you, what do you, what do you. At least that's what I was saying when I said that dialogue. What do you want to? We can reduce that. Reductions are when we remove or change some sounds. There are some very common phrases in which when I say reduction, you probably think about wanna, gonna, have to. So want to, we can reduce to wanna, and then the T in tonight. And this is definitely part of the American accent. When it comes between two vowel sounds, often it's going to become a flap T. And it's going to sound like a soft D. So even though that T is at the beginning of the word, well, the word before that, do, it still is going to come between those two vowel sounds. What do you want to do tonight? Do tonight. So do tonight. It's very soft. It's very subtle. But I end up saying it with a flap T. Now, something else you may be wondering, I'm just going to take us over here, and then we're going to practice this. So I've given you the phonetic spelling up above these words and phrases to make it a little easier to follow. What do you want to do tonight? What do you want to do tonight? Hopefully you can hear that flap T in tonight. What do you want to do tonight? The other thing you may be thinking is, wait, there are two words in there, two do's. Why is one of them like what do ya? And the other one, you hear do. What do you want to do? And that is because that second do, it is a content word. So you are going to emphasize that. What do you want to do tonight? What do you want to do tonight? And basically in this question, the three main words that are highlighted, I would say, are what, do, tonight. And in that case, even if you remove the other words, you kind of understand, well, what somebody's trying to say. What do you want to do tonight? So let's practice it. I want you to say this. I want you to repeat it right after me. Let's say it slowly, and then we'll say it faster. What do you want to do tonight? And now I'll say it faster. What do you want to do tonight? And then again, if I were to say it very quickly, super fast, what do you want to do tonight? Now, let's slow things. I just want you to say it with me. This is shadowing, all right? Try to keep that same pace. And I'm going to say it like this. What do you want to do tonight? Are you ready? Let's say it together. What do you want to do tonight? One more time. What do you want to do tonight? Okay, so that is that question. Very simple, straightforward, but really doing a deep dive into what's going on here. The next thing that I want to tell you, very quickly, I do want to mention that if you would like to practice and improve your speaking, you can check out my speaking course. Enrollment is open. You can also use the code SPEAK20 to get $20 off. And I'll throw that in the chat. If you guys want to check that out, click on that link. The link is also down in the description if you'd like to find more information. But this is some of the stuff we do. We warm up with something related to pronunciation, connected speech, and we work on some of this. And I would always say that you should never feel like you have to speak a certain way, that you have to use connected speech. The main reason why I highlight this is to help you understand, well, why people speak the way they do, understanding what's going on with these words and phrases and the sounds people are making, which ultimately is going to help your overall comprehension, your listening comprehension. But it's fun to practice when you're speaking. The next sentence that we have in there are two sentences, I should say. I'll say it each individual word. I'm going to get a bite to eat. Do you want to go? So when I was saying that dialogue, I said it like this. I'm going to sorry. I'm going to get a bite to eat. Do you want to go? I'm going to get a bite to eat. Do you want to go? I'm going to get a bite to eat. Do you want to go? So let's look at what's going on with this one, okay? And again, if you guys are practicing with me, let me know. Let me know in the comments, in the chat. Just write the word speaking. So I know, okay, you were working on that and you're practicing, because that's what this lesson is all about. It is a practice lesson. So let's see. The first part is I'm going to. Now, we just talked about the reduction want to becomes wanna. Going to, another very common reduction. You could reduce that to gonna. Now, sometimes you may hear people reduce this even more when the statement begins with the word I'm. I'm going to. You may hear people reduce that to I'm gonna. For those of you who've taken my speaking class, you know, you hear me say this quite often. Throughout the course, I would say, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm gonna. So it is something that you will hear. I know that when I've practiced this with people, sometimes it may feel a little awkward trying to say that I'm gonna, but just so you know, again, it's very common to say I'm gonna as well. So I put both of them down there. You could say I'm gonna, or if you want to reduce it even further, I'm gonna. The next part is get a. All right, that article And this is a great example of linking. Linking is when one word ends with a final consonant sound and the next word begins with a vowel sound. So we can link these words together. It's almost like we're taking that T, which is ultimately a flap T, because it comes between those two vowel sounds, and we're just moving it over. And it becomes a part of the article. Get a. And I'm gonna get a. And you can really move through that first part of the sentence really quickly. I'm gonna get a. And the last part that I would say, I'm gonna get a bite to eat. Once again, I talked about weaker and stronger sounds with certain words like to, you, even for. You might hear people say fur. Now that doesn't always mean people are going to say that weaker sound with the schwa, but I'm putting it there just so you're aware of it, so you know it, and try to practice it. See again how it feels. I'm gonna get a bite to eat. To eat. It's a very soft sound too. Bite to eat. Bite to eat. Bite to eat. I'm gonna get a bite to eat. I'm gonna get a bite to eat. I'm gonna get a bite to eat. All right. I'm gonna get a bite to eat. And then do you, if I wanted to say that again with weaker, more with that schwa sound, do you want to, we already reduced that to wanna, do you want to go? Do you want to go? I'm going to get a bite to eat. Do you want to go? I'm going to get a bite to eat. Do you want to go? All right, I want you to say it after me. I'm going to get a bite to eat. Do you want to go? Notice with those yes-no questions, do you want to go? That rising intonation as we go to the end of that question. Do you want to go? So say it after me again. I'm going to get a bite to eat. Do you want to go? One more time. I'm going to get a bite to eat. Do you want to go? Now let's shadow. Say it with me. Try to keep that same pace. I'll say it at this speed. I'm going to get a bite to eat. Do you want to go? So ready? Let's say it together. Here we go. I'm going to get a bite to eat. Do you want to go? Let's do it again. Ready? I'm going to get a bite to eat. Do you want to go? And I think when it comes to shadowing, that's one of the more difficult parts would be you're trying to say things in the exact same way. Intonation, emphasis, using reductions, linking, but trying to keep that pace, I think, is a bit more challenging, especially when we're talking about using connected speech and practicing that way. All right, so that was the second part. The next sentence that we're going to look at. All right, again, if you guys are speaking, let me know. Excellent, Vidya, Superman, Gustav, great job, Takayo. Again, it's good to practice this, great for your comprehension. Never feel like, oh, you need to start doing this, but it's good to understand, like, well, what's going on here? So the next question that we're looking at, again, I'll say each individual word so you can hear me. Could you wait till I finish work? But the way I was saying it, could you wait till I finish work? Could you wait till I finish work? And even listening to me, maybe you can kind of pick out some of the things that are going on. Could you wait till I finish work? Could you wait till I finish work? So the first part, that could you. Assimilation. This is another part of connected speech. This is when you have two sounds, they blend together to create a new sound. In this case, that final D in could and the beginning Y in you, they blend together and you get this j sound. It's very subtle. It's almost like we're putting that j sound between the two words, and then that allows us to connect them together. So instead of could you, could you do this? Could you do that? Could you do this? Could you do that? It's not something I would say that you should try to force. As you say these two words and you just say one right after the other, I think you're naturally going to blend these sounds together, and you'll hear it. Again, it's slight. So instead of could you, could you, could you. Now, notice that in that case, could you, I'm actually saying the stressed you. Even in this question, you could, unstress it, say the weaker ya, could ya. Could you, could ya. But just for the example I have, let's just say that it's a stronger sound, and we're going to say could you, even though I just wanted you to know it may be weaker from time to time. Wait till. So we have two overlapping T sounds, wait till, and you could hear somebody say it and they pronounce that T. It's very clear with the American accent. Often when that T comes between two vowel sounds, it may get changed into a flap T. Waitle, waitle. So hopefully you can hear that soft D, waitle. Could you waitle? Could you waitle? And then we could link, we already talked about linking, that final consonant L sound in till with the vowel sound with the pronoun I, till I. Could you waitle I? Could you waitle I? And finish work, nothing really I wanted to point out there, but just those first 5 words in this question. Let's just practice that first part. Could you waitle I? Could you waitle I? Say it after me. Could you waitle I? Could you wait till I finish work? Say it one more time. Could you wait till I finish work? And now, shadow, say it with me. Same time, try to keep that pace. Ready? Could you wait till I finish work? Once again, could you wait till I finish work? Okay, so now hopefully you can kind of hear these different things going on. Let me know, right? Speaking in the chat, in the comments, if you're practicing your skills and you're saying these sentences out loud. All right, that's what it's all about. Just getting a little speaking practice today. I know that I'm not there, but trust me, I can hear you. I think you're doing great. I can hear you. The next 2 sentences, again, I'll say each individual word and then we'll break it down. It's getting late. I don't want to wait around all night. But the way I was saying it, it's getting late. I don't want to wait around all night. Again, if somebody's really going to say this much faster, it's getting late. I don't want to wait around all night. It's getting late. I don't want to wait around all night. And you can really fly right through the sentence. So let's see what's going on. Let's start with it's getting. So this is something that I think is pretty interesting, at least I find it interesting, when it comes to not only the American accent, but just English in general. So get, you hear that stop T at the end. If I'm using it in the continuous tense, like in this case, it is getting, that T comes between 2 vowel sounds and you hear that flap T, getting. However, sometimes I think in the US people will drop those G's. So think about the sentence, I'm taking a break. If we drop that G instead of taking, it's going to sound like taken. I'm taking a break. I'm taking a break. In this case, once we drop that G, if we drop the G, we now have the T followed by a vowel sound followed by the N sound. In that case, it's going to be pronounced as a glottal T. Think about the word mountain. You have a T followed by a vowel sound followed by the N sound. So that T in mountain, it's pronounced as a glottal T. The best way I can describe the glottal T, it's almost like you're swallowing it. Mountain, gettin'. So just say that word. Say it after me. Gettin'. It's getting late. It's getting late, and we're dropping that G using a glottal T instead. There's nothing wrong, very common. You could say it's getting late. It's getting late. You hear people say that all the time. In the US, they're going to use that flap T. But if I wanted to drop the G, it's getting late. And the next part, a couple things going on. I don't want to. We're going to reduce that to wanna. And this is, again, we're going to move right through that final part of the sentence because we can link the phrase wait around all. And we're going to link all of those final consonant sounds with the beginning vowel sound of the next word. And that final T in wait, you're going to hear me say it with a flap T. Wait around all. Wait around all. I don't want to wait around all night. So this is the way I would phonetically spell it so you can see it. It's getting late. I don't want to wait around all night. So I want you to say it after me. Again, let's say it slowly to begin with. It's getting late. I don't want to wait around all night. Now let's speed it up a little bit. It's getting late. I don't want to wait around all night. And now let's say it faster. It's getting late. I don't want to wait around all night. And then because I talked about, super fast speech, let's try and say it, super fast. It's getting late. I don't want to wait around all night. And now, again, just to get that shadowing too, let's try and say it at the same time. I'm not going to say it too fast. I'll say it like it's getting late. I don't want to wait around all night. And I want you to say it with me. Ready? Here we go. It's getting late. I don't want to wait around all night. One more time. It's getting late. I don't want to wait around all night. Okay, so we just did a thorough deep dive into all of those sentences. And great job, Jillian, Gustav, Vidya. Again, keep speaking. That's what this is all about. I want you to speak out loud, and I want you to do that again. I want you to say this dialogue with me. So before we say it, and we take turns, like I'll be A, you will be B, and then we're going to switch, I'll let you listen to it again. I'll say all of them right now, and hopefully it's a little easier now that we've gone through and talked about each of these sentences. So I'll just read the whole thing right now. What do you want to do tonight? I'm going to get a bite to eat. Do you want to go? Sure. Could you wait till I finish work? It's getting late. I don't want to wait around all night. Okay. So let's begin with I'll be A, and I just want you to read or say B. I want you to say it out loud. Again, we're having a conversation. All right, you ready? What do you want to do tonight? Sure. Could you wait till I finish work? All right, now let's switch. I want you to say A out loud, and I will say B. Okay, ready? You can begin. I'm going to get a bite to eat. Do you want to go? It's getting late. I don't want to wait around all night. All right, excellent. Let me know in the chat, all right, if you were practicing your skills. That's what this is all about. I just want to really help you understand what's happening with some of these words and phrases. And I know that it's a lot. It's a lot to take in because there are so many different things going on when talking about, some of the different parts of connected speech. Elision, assimilation, and then we have reductions. I tried to mention about the rising intonation at the end of yes/no questions. So let me see. I'm gonna give you a quick little poll. Were you practicing with me? And I just want you to answer the question, because what I think I'll do in the future, this is just a yes/no. Were you practicing with me? Were you practicing your speaking skills? In the future, I'd like to do some more lessons like this and really break down, analyze some sentences to help give you a better understanding of what's happening. Again, this is not something you should feel like you have to do. It depends on your own speaking goals with your speaking fluency. I do think that when you're using reductions, connected speech, it's going to give your speech a more natural sound. And this is not just something that you would do informally on the streets. Even when you're giving a presentation in a formal situation, people are still going to use reductions, linking. This is really common. And again, I would say that you can choose what you want to do. If something doesn't feel comfortable, like reducing I'm gonna to I'm gonna, don't feel like you need to do it. But it is something you may hear, which is always good for your listening comprehension. So, all right, it seems like most of you, 3% of you, were not practicing. That's okay. As long as you were listening, then you're still getting some value out of this. At least I hope so. So I really appreciate you guys being with me today. I hope that you enjoyed the lesson. I hope that you learned something new. If you did, I would love it if you hit that like button. I would really appreciate it. So I could tell you, say, well, right now, I'm going to get going. Okay, and there's that I'm gonna. I told you, I don't know why I use it a lot. I'm gonna get going right now. I'm gonna get going, so I'm gonna have to say goodbye. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you, Vicky, Gustav. Thank you, Takayo. You're doing great. Takayo, get to hear you practice in class, which is good. And yes, just as a reminder, if you guys want to check out the course, click on that link below. It's something that I continue to run throughout the year. Lali, thanks for joining us, being here. Super Monk, Sen, Alash, Vidya, Talal. Just give some quick shout outs at the end. Laura, Camille. Again, all right, I'm gonna sign off. There's that I'm gonna keep saying that. I'm gonna. Anyway, hope you learned something new.